Along with all the stuff we're going to do for the web for Photoshop, we got to take a look at pictures that we're going to put up on the web, whether they're on the web, whether they're going to be used in an email or whatever. We got to walk a fine line of images have to look good, but the file size has to be small enough that they're easy to download or upload to the web. If you look down here in the bottom left-hand corner, you'll see that this doc we're at 12.5%. Also, we're at RGB, which is good because if we're going digitally for the web, we have to be RGB. But down here, it's telling me that this document, this photo, this image, is 51.3 megabytes in size. That is just way too big to go up on the web. So let's do what I like to call minimize to maximize. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to come over here. This picture, take a look at this picture. This is a good picture. Look at all the extraneous crap all around here. We got the background, a lot of the field. The players themselves are the focal point of this image, and that's what we want to focus on. So let's grab the crop tool, and we're going to crop this image down. So I'm going to come down on the height and come up, come over on this like this. Now, I want this to be a more regular photo, so I'm just going to do a little bit here, get it to where I want, because I hate cropping arms or feet. It's just not that good. So we're at 51.3 megs. I'm going to crop this. We're going to zoom in on it. There, that's better. We don't need all that extra crap. This is what we're focusing on. We went from that huge file, 51.3 megs, down to 12.6 megs. That, right off the bat, is huge. So crop off all the crap. We don't need all the extra stuff around the outside. Nobody cares about that. Nobody wants it. If we wanted to, we could crop this down to a more of a let's say if we crop it again and crop it more of a landscape instead of a portrait type look and feel. Boom. And we are down now to 7.4 megs. Close. Okay? So we went from 50 megs down to 7 megs. This is big savings. Still not what we're looking for. So let's go up underneath image and let's go to image size. Here right off the bat we're going to see some big numbers. Right here on the top is going to show us the image size currently. We need 72 dpi, correct? So, but we don't need 27 inches wide. That's huge. And when we do stuff for the web, we are going to be dealing mostly and mainly in pixels. But for the moment, I'm just going to leave it for inches so you guys can, until you get acclimated to inches and pixels and everything else. But everything I do for the web, I do in pixels. So let's say I don't need this more than 27 inches is humongous, okay? You know when you get that email from grandma or your aunt or whatever, and it sends a picture of your friend or nephew or niece or whatever, and when you open up the email, you see the photo, and all you see is like half their face, like mostly their eyeball, because they didn't size the photo down before they sent it to you. So let's say like a 6-inch wide photo is sufficient. That's pretty large. But look at, as soon as we drop that down, we are going from 7 megs to 370K. That is gigantic savings. So I'm going to hit OK. Now look what it does. It makes my image really small. But we're at 25%. So if we do a Control plus all the way to 100%, there's that photo at 100%. That's not bad at all. That's very nice. 300K, 370K, that's still not too bad. We're getting to the realm where we can start to upload it. you got to remember, there are still people out there that are using dial-up. There's still people out there that have not the fastest internet connection. So let's go up here. Now, if you are using Photoshop 2014 or older, then you will come to File and Save for Web. It'll be right in here, Save for Web. If you don't have 2014, you have 2015 or higher, which is thing. We're going to come up here and we're going to go to Export, Save for Web Legacy. Now, if you're using, again, if you're using 2014 or older, 2014, Photoshop CC, 2000, Photoshop CS6, it's going to be right in here, Save As, and you're going to see Save for Web. But 2015 or newer, we're going to go Save for Web Legacy right here. What this is going to do is it's going to open up a big window right here that is going to show us a lot of really nice things and saving tips. Right here we can pick all these different file formats to go for the web. When we go for the web, we can go GIF format, JPEG, or PNG. Most of the time with photos, you're going to want to go JPEG. JPEG stands for Joint Photographers Expert Group. Okay, they're the group that came up with this whole file format of a JPEG so that they can make a nice clean compressed file to send to somebody. GIF file, and it is a GIF file, GIF, not a GIF file, and GIF stands for Graphic Interface Format. That is another file format that we can put on the web that is a compressed file format, but GIF file formats are a what's the word I'm looking for? Okay, I can't even believe this. When you save a JPEG file, it's a lossy format. In other words, when you save it out, it squeezes the photo and squeezes some of the pixels out of there. A GIF format is a lossless format. It doesn't squeeze the information out. It just rearranges the numbers of the colors. And then PNG format is the third and final format that we can save for the web. The only two file formats that allow us to save with transparency are PNG files and JPEG files. I mean GIF files. Sorry, no JPEGs. PNGs and GIFs. So let's take a look at this. We'll go to JPEG High. Look at this. This tab says original, so you can see what it looks like originally. This is what it looks like optimized. So we originally were at 371K. Optimized as a JPEG High, we are at 41K. Now, high JPEG with a high optimization, in other words, compression, is only, think of it as an orange. If we take an orange that's cut in half, and we make the orange into a JPEG with high, well, let's say maximum. If we make it with maximum, look at that. With maximum, it's 140K. That's taking that orange and just squeezing a little bit of juice out of it. Now, if we go too high, it drops down to 40K. That's taking that orange and squeezing it so there's a lot more juice coming out of it. And then if we go from high to low, look at that. We're at 12K. Much smaller file. That squeezes a lot more juice out of the orange. Now that juice we're not getting back. Once we compress it, that file is now compressed. It's throwing out pixels. Take a look at the difference down here in the grass around his arm, up in here. There's getting some artifacts going on there. So let's go to medium. You could see that some of the artifacts went away. This is good. This is looking much better. So a medium JPEG, most of the time, apologize, sorry about that. 85 to 90% of the time, when you make a JPEG, a medium format, a medium compression JPEG is going to be just fine. Now, if I'm doing pictures for jewelry or circuit boards, high detailed imagery that you have to have, I'm going to go to a high compression. Not maximum or very high. I'm going to go to high. Look at that. We are now down to 21K. And that I'm going to save. And I'm just going to put that on my desktop. And we've saved it. Now, if we go back up underneath here and we go to Export, SaveForWeb, take a look at this as a GIF file. 128 dithered. It's showing me 70K. See all these little colored swatches here? That's what all the colors that are making up this image. So if we change this from 128 to 64, do we see any better image? And you don't really see a lot of degradation in the image, but we're now at 55K. So now let's go to 32. And now we're starting to see in his face. Look at the back here, the really grainy 42K. Still, you know, not horrible. But again, when we did this as a JPEG at medium quality, we got it down to 21K. That's pretty good. So a photo like this is definitely going to do a better job as a JPEG file. Let's even try it as a PNG file. PNG file, look at that. That's a nice looking file, but it's 244K. If we drop it to PNG 8, 80K. Just not going to be the option for us. Does that make any sense, guys? You want to make sure the photo looks good, but the file size is great. So the JPEG file that we created with the medium thing is going to work out just perfect. What I'm going to do next is we're going to take a look at how to do some more of this setup for the web, and we're going to take a graphic or a logo and see how that works.